Welcome to the Hello Seattle podcast, a local perspective on living in and moving to Seattle.
Yeah, we're excited to introduce you to people, places, and communities that make living in our hometown special. Hello, Seattle. We're back with another incredible episode. I'm your host, Dan Keller.
And I'm your host, McDonald, and we're super excited to have the Mayor of Brier with us here. Dale, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
So we're going to talk with Dale a little bit about the community of Brier. We're going to talk to him about some of the stuff that mayors have to deal with. And before we do that, though, we're going to talk about mortgages just for a minute, as we do with every single podcast episode. So, Dan, why don't you kick us off with a quick update on the mortgages?
Yeah, our 60-second mortgage update. So, again, we're seeing a little bit of a rally for the last 3 weeks. I think I just talked to a client this morning, and I said we've kind of crested the hill of high mortgage rates, knock on wood.
Are we below 7% yet?
We are. We're knocking on the door of about 6.99. If you want to pay some points, 6.8, 6.9. So yeah, I think we've now officially dropped right under that 7% mark. And
do you need to say your MLO number?
I will
right
in
now?
a sec. But here's the thing, Zach, why this is profound. We haven't seen rates this low since the early part of 2023. So it's
crazy.
Yeah, this is great progress. Cool. I think in communities like Brier, for example, and Edmonds and Mount Lake Terrace and Linwood, these high interest rates really put pressure on the housing market.
A lot.
Yeah, a lot of pressure where you've got median home values that aren't in line with median household income. So I think we've tested that. But here's the great thing, and you'll talk about this, I'm sure. The housing market in the Pacific Northwest is super resilient. We saw 8.5% 30-year fixed rates, and the housing market really didn't flinch. Nope. And so that's great news. So yeah, let me recap my MLO number just for compliance purposes is 115349. But great news on the mortgage front.
Yeah, and on the real estate side, we saw the highest prices ever, King and Snohomish County, Seattle, ever in November. So
really,
we said the same thing last year, by the way. Even with all the ups and downs, year over year, we've continued to climb. So we're heading into the new year. Prices aren't as high as they were in the spring of 2022, which is the all-time highs, but we're not too far off right now.
Yeah.
And we're going to be talking about Brier today. So I thought I'd share a couple fun facts about Brier's housing market. There are about 5 houses that sell every month in Brier.
How many are for sale right now?
There are 5 houses. Actually, there are 6 houses currently for sale in Brier, ranging between $825,000 and just over $2 million for a new construction house. Rolling average over the past 12 months, $975,000, so just under $1 million. And in fact, I just sold Dale's neighbor's house in Brier. So Dale is going to talk a little bit more about Brier housing here as we move forward, but let's jump into just your personal experience living in Brier. So Dale, how long have you been a resident of Brier?
So I've been in Brier. We moved there in 1997. We actually built a house. So Terry and I were living in Shoreline, and kids were getting bigger, running out of room. So we looked for a realtor because we needed a bigger size house. So we looked for a realtor to help us with the process. We called you, Zach. You didn't pick up.
In the womb?
I think
that's pre-womb.
No. Where were you in 97?
Oh, 97. I thought you said 70.
In what part of 1997?
Probably spring.
Yeah, I was in kindergarten.
You could,
and I was living in Edmonds. I was
probably selling stuff in kindergarten.
I was attending Westgate Elementary School.
Okay, so you didn't pick. So we had to get another realtor. Sorry about that.
Yeah, it didn't work out yet.
So we were looking for a house in Shoreline, Lake Forest Park, Kenmore. Couldn't find anything, and the realtor goes, "How about Brier?" And I goes, the only thing I know about Brier is I was there once and got lost. So that was before Google Maps.
That's still actually not uncommon.
So when you get lost in Brier without Google Maps, that's a problem. There's no landmarks. There's nothing. And then he goes, there's a raw land, 1.7 acres. And we drove up and we saw it, and I was like, full price.
Just a piece of raw land.
Of raw land. And the developer had an idea for a house that he showed us, but it's just a piece of raw land, 1.7 acres, had a little stream in the back. It was, and we bought it, and we built a house, and we've been there since 1997.
So Dale, from a perspective, an audio perspective for our listeners, explain to us where Brier is using some cities as landmarks.
Right. So we're surrounded by Lake Forest Park, Canmore, unincorporated toward Bothell, and then Linwood.
Yep.
So we're basically surrounded by Malik Terrace.
Yeah.
Right in there, and we're primarily a residential community. We have a small commercial district, but the rest of it is single family residences.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, and my wife and I live in Shoreline, and so when I think of Brier, I think of right across the freeway and a little bit north and down the hill a little, yeah?
Yeah, so I mean, when we went there the first time to look at this lot, I could tell something was different about Brier, and I was like talking to the realtor, what's different? He goes, it's their lot size. So when your minimum lot size is 12,500 square feet, the lots are bigger, the yards are bigger, the trees are bigger, and you can tell.
It's kind of like Texas.
Well, not quite, but it was that feel. It was that more rural feel, the space, and that's still probably the most popular part of Brier. Why people move to Brier? They want it. Not everybody wants a small lot. Some people want more yard.
Yeah,
and that
was my one aha in preparing for this podcast today, and that I'll carry with me after this podcast is Brier lot size. Right. That makes Brier a very sought after community if you want that guaranteed good sized lot.
So, and what comes with that lot size is typically people that want to be outside, right? So you're in your yard. We don't have a fence between us and our neighbors. You're interacting more with your neighbors, and it's a great bonus because you get to know your neighbors. And I think, it's one of the features that has made Brier really attractive. The other thing is, if you take a map, if you put a pin in the heart of Seattle, in the heart of Bellevue, in the heart of Everett, it's a triangle. What's in the center of that triangle?
No way.
Yes.
Really? Brier, Washington.
City of Brier.
Wow.
So we have people
Talk about centrality.
We have people that live in Everett, or work in Everett, work in Bellevue, work in Seattle, and we are right there.
Does anybody work in Brier aside from the government?
Well, no, so we have a small commercial zone, but we also have home occupation businesses. So we're very strict about what kind of business, you want to start a grenade testing facility. We're not going to allow that.
Not out of your backyard.
No, we have noise, parking, traffic, all these things. A lot of smaller professionals have offices in their homes, and that's allowed by Brier code.
What about a swim school, Dale? My wife runs a swim school.
I'm sure it would be allowed.
We could push that through?
Yes, I think you could.
So we should buy a house in Brier, is what you're trying to say.
You've already bought a house.
I can buy another house.
Well, you're welcome.
I know a real estate
Zach,
agent.
you're welcome to move to Brier. I'd love to have you.
Okay. We almost did. I remember talking to you about a house in Brier.
Yep.
So tell the audience about Brier. Obviously, lot size is cool, but if somebody was moving to the area or they were new to the area, how would you describe Brier to them?
Well, involved community. And I think part of that's that neighborhood thing we're talking about. We're interacting with each other. The advantages of having a small city is you have a city council that's right there. In fact, have you ever been to a city council meeting in a larger city?
No.
It's kind of a mess. A lot of people, a lot of things to say, a lot of topics, and so they have a green light, a yellow light, and a red light, and you can see that's how much time you have. And in Brier, we don't. Times we have very few people come to our meetings. Now, sometimes we have a room full, but most of the time, very few people. And so I go up, introduce myself. Hey, I'm Dale. Glad you're here. Then I try to get them to talk. Right. You're here in front of the council. Go ahead. You must have something on your mind. And usually they freak out. But sometimes they'll talk. And so the beauty of a small city is you have a responsive, accessible government. They're your neighbors. They're sitting right there in front of you, and you can talk and react. And when citizens have concerns about the streets or the parks or whatever, that's an advantage. The other thing Brier, as a small city, we have our own police department, and that's very unusual. Most small cities contract to bigger cities, or they contract to the sheriff. And we have our own Brier PD, and so what that means is response times are good. What that means is, and so I do ride-alongs with the police officers.
Oh, cool.
And so I'm riding along with this officer, and he sees a car that he doesn't recognize, and he just takes note of it. Or we're driving one night. there was a guy with his garage door open, his lights on. He goes, that's not
Interesting.
normal.
Oh.
So he's like, goes up to the door and hey, your garage door is open. I know that's not normal for you. And he said, thank you, officer.
That's really
Seriously?
cool. What do they, old school hometown feel?
So-
That's great.
That's awesome.
It is. And
No
we
police
do-
officer's ever done that to me in Edmonds or Shoreline or Seattle.
Right. We do get some help from the sheriff's office because we are a small department. But the citizens of Brier like the fact that Brier PD, Brier officers, and Brier uniforms on Brier cars. That's a huge thing.
How many police officers are there in Brier?
Well, we're supposed to have 6 or 7. Right now, we only have 4. So that's a problem.
so you're hiring is what that
We're
means.
hiring. We have a hiring bonus,
What's that bonus, Dale?
$10,000.
Okay.
And so most of the cities in Snohomish County, to tell you the truth, they're all kind of in the same boat. We're all looking for officers. It's a problem. It's a countywide. It's a statewide problem.
Why are there not enough police officers?
Do we really want to?
I don't know if we really want to go there. Maybe not.
That would be a different show, maybe.
Well,
Okay.
we can talk politics, but
Well, we do have the mayor
we
of
do have the
Brier
mayor.
on this.
The one time we're allowed to talk politics.
Well,
Zach,
I will
we actually could.
say the state of Washington, the legislature has changed policing the last few years.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so we've lost officers, and the officers that remain, it's a concern. And I mean, I meet with all the mayors.
Yeah.
It's probably number one concern is what are we going to do to retain or attract officers? And it's a huge problem.
It sounds like some of the longer term officers have retired, and you haven't been able to replace, or
Correct.
there's been less of a demand for new people to come in. Is that fair?
It's just we can't. I think we need to encourage people in high school and college to start thinking about that as a career choice,
Yeah.
and they're not. And
Okay.
it's a long, complicated story.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. Well, I had a great conversation with my neighbor the other day who's lived in Richmond Beach for almost 30 plus years, and just getting some perspective on how the development and how far along Richmond Beach has come. You being a resident of Brier and obviously the mayor, what have you seen over the last, or since what did you say, 1997? So what have you seen over the years?
So a lot of construction. I mean, so Brier had a lot of raw land, undeveloped.
Okay.
Brier has, in one of our parks, we have a horse arena. We're the only horse
cool.
arena around. And because
Wow.
a long time ago, going way back, there was a lot of people with horses. And so we had pastures and we had horses, and people, we put in a horse arena. People could walk. We actually, on Brier Road, and one side is a sidewalk. The other side is a horse path. It's not paved,
cool.
so you can
Still.
walk.
That's so cool.
Still.
Yeah.
You
So
can ride your horse to the mayor's office.
You can do that. My window looks out at the horse arena. So what I've seen is those lots with horses are being consumed by residences, and so there's not nearly as many. So I mean, a lot of people come to Brier and they don't know what Brier is, and once they get there and they see. And they want to have. Not everybody wants a big yard, right?
Yeah.
But some people do, and we're seeing those people come and as a unique community with our access, and they're loving it.
Well, as the mayor, what gets you excited about the future of Brier?
Well, I mean, I think the unity I see in the city council, our concern to keep the city as it is. The residents being happy, and one of the things that happens is when you're interacting with your fellow neighbors, you get involved. And so when we have our events, when we have our parade, when we have our music in the park, when we have our Dogoween, we have our holiday events, we get a lot of people showing up, and it's a lot of camaraderie. We know each other, and it's pretty special to walk around, and it reminds me of more of what it was like when I was a kid, and because you're walking the streets, you're interacting, that's very attractive too.
Kind of makes me want to move to Brier.
Okay,
Zach.
doesn't
you're
it?
welcome. You're welcome.
I mean, Dale, you're from a small town too, right?
So
In
I grew
Washington.
up in Linden, Washington.
Okay.
So my dad was city council. Actually, he was the mayor of Linden as well. So
Wow, so this runs in the blood.
it's in the blood.
Politics
yes.
is in the blood.
So he always had this thing about giving back to the community, serving your community, and so I followed. I followed in his footsteps.
Is that why you're mayor? I mean, why are you the mayor of Brier? Why did you choose to serve in this way? especially since you're retired.
Right. I love talking to people. I love meeting people. I love dealing with issues. I love doing negotiations. I love knowing about what's happening in Snohomish County. So when you're the mayor, you typically get put on other committees and commissions, and you interact with other mayors. You interact with the executive. I'm on the solid waste committee.
Wow, that sounds riveting.
Right. Yeah. I'm also on like a housing committee. I'm on the DEM, Department of Emergency Management Committee. And, you know, I really like it. I like learning about this stuff. I like advocating for Brier. I like coming together with the other mayors, right, of Snohomish County, because we have some issues together with respect to crime, homelessness, housing. We don't have much. We have crime in Brier. It's not. We're pretty low on the scale. In fact, sometimes we're listed as a low crime city of one of the lower crime cities of Washington. But
there you go.
We do have issues.
What are some of those issues, Dale, that Brier is specifically dealing with right now?
Well, I mean, the cost of housing and the cost of development. You know, I think just before you start pouring concrete on a new house, you've got a couple $100,000 just in the site, right? And so it starts from there and it goes up. And I think because Brier is unique, it makes our housing expensive. And so, you know, for me, I mean, I would have loved to have my kids live in Brier. And, but
you want to live that close to your children?
Well, probably not.
Oh, okay.
But we have our daughter lives in Seattle, which is great, and we have a son who lives in Stanwood, which is great.
They're relatively close.
So that's cool. Yeah. We have a son who lives in Grand Rapids, Michigan. So
that's not as close.
Yeah. So I think just attracting, trying to keep the cost of housing down is a challenge. I think because of our uniqueness. I mean, for a city that's as small as we are, we have 9 parks, right? So
I didn't realize you had so many parks.
So not only do we
Brier
have big yards, we have 9 parks, and as I mentioned before, we have a horse arena at one of them.
How many horses do you have in Brier? I'm just kidding.
You know what? I don't know. I don't know. If they voted, I would know, but they don't vote. So.
They don't vote. Got it.
The other thing that we have is we don't take a lot of cities take permits electronically. We have resisted. So you come to City Hall and you bring your drawings.
Okay.
And there's a person there to talk to you. And we like to be responsive. We like face-to-face meetings. We like to turn around those permit reviews and keep things going forward.
That sounds lovely.
It is. We think it is.
People that want to renovate their homes or build, some of these counties don't make it, as simple and easy. I can tell you that being in Richmond Beach and being in Shoreline, which is King County. What county is Brier?
So we're in Snohomish County. So we're right on the southern border of Snohomish. So Canmore is south of us, and so that's in King County. So we're right on the border. Yeah,
we saw Woodway, we saw Edmonds, a lot of shift in the last couple of years where a lot of people from King County moving into the closest cities in Snohomish County, which, Brier, Woodway.
You're essentially Edmonds, just on the other side of the freeway from Edmonds, Woodway.
Right.
Since we're talking about those other cities right now, I like to talk about if I was moving, I'm a family man, so if I was moving to a new community, school districts would be big. What school districts? I see that you guys have Brier Elementary.
So we have 2 schools, Brier Elementary and Brier Junior Middle School, they call it, I believe. Okay. So they're in Edmonds School District. Okay. And then right on the border of Brier, the baseball field, football field of Mollick Terrace High is on Brier. So they're just outside of our city limits. Wow. So basically, we have it covered. You can walk to the high school, the junior high, or the elementary, although we don't see a lot of walking, but we're right there. Yeah, and so it's all part of Edmonds School District, which is a good school district.
Great school district. Yeah.
So what are some of the projects right now that you're working on in Brier? What's coming down the pipe? What can people be excited about?
So we just planted a new Christmas tree. We used it for the first time. Our old Christmas tree was too close to some power lines, so we had to move it. So we had our first event in Brier Park, which is our main park. We have some decrepit old restrooms that I've closed and put up portable units until we are in the process of redesigning those bathrooms. And then we are in the design process for an amphitheater, a small amphitheater in Brier Park. So we have Music in the Park, which is an event that we have where we have musicians, a lot of them local, come and we have food trucks, and we have a performance in the park. And we've been just kind of sitting on the grass, and we have kind of a natural spot that's got kind of sloped. And so we're in the process of designing an amphitheater, which can be multiple use for plays or for a shelter. We're going to put a cover on it. Could be a park or a shelter. We're always trying to improve our roads, and now with traffic, so we have more traffic coming through Brier because there's some development going on toward Bothell.
Yep.
So that traffic is coming, and so we're always about safety. We have some intersections that are concerns that we're trying to, especially for kids walking to school, we're trying to get those intersections. We're working on those intersections. It's not easy because we don't have the volumes typically that are required to get funding from either the state or the federal government. But these are the things that we're working on. And we're trying to maintain our streets, keep them great. Our sewer system, all the things that you don't think about, but are part of the things that we have to provide for. Keeping our police department up and running and finding new officers. Our parks, keeping them nicely maintained. Our sidewalks, it's all important. We like to see people walking and using our city resources that way.
Dale, for people that are thinking about commuting, you mentioned earlier that Brier's really central to Everett, Seattle, Bellevue. What's the transportation access like? Can you do anything besides drive a car?
Community transit comes through Brier, but it's pretty limited. Now, we are going to be light rails coming to Moloch Terrace. The Moloch Terrace station will be 2 miles from Brier.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's not too far.
Great. Yeah.
So you see all the development going in along I-5 for that, and I think that's light rail starts September, I believe, of next year. So we see that as we see people going to Linwood Park and Ride, Moloch Terrace Park and Ride. We see access, obviously, to 405 is pretty easy, and then obviously I-5 north to Everett is pretty easy as well. And so we find ourselves in a really great spot. Our commercial district is pretty small. We have an office building that has an attorney, and we have a hair salon. We have Brier Pizza, which is a great restaurant. People come from a long ways to come to Brier Pizza. We have a coffee place, Drive Up Coffee. We have a little grocery store, and that's it. And there's no groundswell of let's put in a strip mall. People don't mind driving a little bit and just keeping Brier quieter and not having to deal with the traffic and the things that come along with a strip mall.
Zach, I'm a big pizza fan. I think the day that we launch this podcast on social media, I think we should do it from Brier Pizza.
There we go.
Brier Pizza?
Yeah.
I'm up for it.
How about we do that?
Are you going to come join us?
I would be there.
You'd be there?
Let's do it. Yeah. Okay. I love that. I love pizza. So I have to ask kind of a fun question. So, we've got a lot of younger people too that listen to our podcast. I've got some kids. I'd like to think that my daughter's a senior in high school. She listens every once in a while.
I'm sure she does.
Yeah. If someone wanted to get into community service, and I'm not talking like large scale politics, because I don't see you doing this for the money. Well, being the mayor, you're retired. Right? You had a great career and we didn't even talk about your career, what you retired from. What did you retire from?
So I was a structural engineer. I went to Calvin University, which is a great university in Michigan.
Is that why your child lives there now?
Yes, he went there too. My 2 sons went there. He got married and he's still there, which is great. But so I went to Calvin University, studied engineering, and I came back and I wanted to do structural. And so I was a student at University of Washington.
Yeah, I saw that. Go Dogs, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I started out, Don James.
Oh yeah,
remember that?
The Dogfather.
The Dogfather. Yeah. Remember when they played again U of M for the Rose Bowl?
Yeah, oh yeah.
I was there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
You were at that game.
Oh yeah.
I was there.
That's awesome.
We won 28-20.
Yep.
Remember?
Yep.
I'm hoping we can knock off Texas and maybe get a crack at Michigan.
Oh, that would be amazing.
That would be pretty dang cool.
I started. When I was a student at UW, I was an intern in Engineers Northwest was the company.
Okay.
And worked my way up from intern all the way to vice president. I was a managing partner. And so I got to be an owner, part owner I got to travel the country because we had clients all over, and it was just an amazing career.
Yeah, so no political science degrry, aspirations of being the mayor of Ballard 30 years ago.
No, nothing.
Not Ballard, sorry, Brier.
My dad. It was cool because my dad. We would talk about politics and we'd talk about city government. And so that inspired me. Like, hey, this is interesting. And I actually was appointed to the city council I didn't run an election.
Yep.
And then 2 years later, I was in an election. I won by 12 votes. It was the closest state of Washington vote.
A nail biter. I know you told us that you conceded. You thought you had lost.
I thought I lost because I was at a city council meeting on Tuesday night, and then at 8 o'clock, the results come out, and my opponent's campaign manager was sitting right in front of me, and he pulls up his BlackBerry. He announced the whole room that I lost. And I said, oh, okay, I lost. And I went home, and I turned on the TV, and I could see the names scrolling, and look at that, I lost. So I called my opponent and conceded.
Wow.
And then the votes came in the mail.
Yeah.
No fraud.
No fraud.
Totally.
You didn't have to ask for a recount.
Well, there was an automatic recount.
Oh, there was. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it was so close.
Yeah.
So that there's a percentage level, and so then I actually won the last day of the counting, which takes about 3 weeks.
That's incredible.
12 votes.
So you spent some time on the city council, kind of, fell in love with serving your community, and then obviously living in the community, and then got into being the mayor.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how it happened. And what happened was the previous mayor, I think I'm not quite sure what happened, and he resigned. And then what happens when the mayor resigns, the council appoints a new person who they can appoint whoever they want. They appointed me, and then someone else was appointed to take my spot, and then 2 years later there was an election.
Got it. So you were appointed mayor, and then you had to rerun.
Right. Well, I assumed because of my amazing personality and good looks that no one would run against me, but that didn't happen.
You got challenged.
I had an opponent, so that was fascinating.
Yeah.
Just to run an election and to all that stuff, and I won. So here I am.
Yeah. So I love the community, live in the community, love serving, and then liked by the people.
Yeah. Well, and think about the future of the community.
Yeah.
And so, because we're unique, we're like, as a council, we're united. Like, let's keep Brier like it is. And there are pressures. The state of Washington is not a huge fan of Brier because we have such big lots.
Yeah.
They would like us to reduce our lot size for density for Growth Management Act, right?
And that's a big thing. You mentioned the housing affordability and costs being a big thing in Brier. Do you see changes coming down in the future with smaller lot sizes, or is Brier going to keep the big lot sizes?
I think they're going to. I see no political will to change it amongst the citizens, first of all, and then of course reacting to that, the city council.
Okay.
And obviously, the mayor doesn't vote. The mayor doesn't make motions. The mayor doesn't make ordinances. The city council does that. The mayor just runs the meetings. And so I see no one's come to our city. None of the residents of Brier or the potential residents of Brier have come to us and said, please reduce your lot size. Well, and the exact opposite. They're like, please, we'd like Brier to be unique and leave it alone.
Yeah.
You don't have any condos, no multifamily, just that small business district.
Yep.
Is there potential for the backyard cottages? We see a lot of those in Seattle. Is that something that might be coming down the road?
We already have that.
Okay, so you can build a backyard cottage in Brier. Can you rent it out?
Yes.
Okay. It's not just the mother-in-law type of deal?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any apartments?
None.
In Brier? Okay.
But you're not going to be able to turn it into a condo and sell it separately like in Seattle, right?
I don't think so.
Yeah. Well, then that would
that ruins the lot size, right?
Yep. You'd be diminishing
And
lot
there's no
size.
condos.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, Dale, is there anything you wanted to share about Brier or the audience here being on the podcast?
I appreciate this chance to talk about Brier because a lot of people ask me, where is it and what's it about and why are you the mayor? Are you crazy? Is something wrong with you? And I think I think I've shared the uniqueness. I will share one other thing. So we have a fire station in Brier. Then the South County Fire runs. We contract to them, and so I've done ride-alongs with them as well as our police officers. And Brier has kind of crazy, curvy roads, right? And I went out on these calls, and I was like, these guys know the crazy streets of Brier, and which is also, I think, something that's really unique. And I think that people are comforted knowing that when they call 911, it's not going to take a long time. I think that's one of the advantages. I mean, the people that live in unincorporated Snohomish County, between us and Bothell, they would like to become a Brier, and the biggest reason is because of policing.
Yeah, interesting. So but are there lot sizes big enough?
A lot of them are not, actually.
So you're out.
But there's some undeveloped that would like to be part of Brier because when they call 911, they get the sheriff's office, and the sheriff's office is doing their best, right? But it isn't the same response time that we have for our Brier police. The other thing, like I told you, I interact with a lot of the mayors. So Everett, Mukilteo, Mill Creek, Stanwood, Marysville, Mauldin Terrace, Lake Stevens, Darrington, those are the people that I know the best. And we meet monthly. And sometimes we meet with the whole counties monthly and then south counties. And we talk about issues. Then we go to the legislature and we talk about issues that we have. And we've been known as a united county, and you get the attention of the legislatures when you come as a separate.
So you're saying the Snohomish County mayors are actually working together?
They are working together.
Wow.
Despite our political differences, we have conservative mayors and we have some more progressive mayors, and we have come together. We actually
That's really cool.
met a month ago, and we were remarking about how unusual it is that we can come together, discuss our issues, go to Olympia, work together to make Snohomish County a better community.
So you're saying it's possible to not agree on everything but still work together?
It's totally possible.
Yeah.
It just takes a little bit of courage, and it takes a willingness to listen, and it takes a willingness to just not say anything. I think that's part of the problem is, I think politicians by nature, they feel like they have to be the one talking and not listening, or rejecting out of hand another person's opinion without actually talking about it.
Well, I think they should bring you guys to DC and teach, because what I'm hearing you say is, and if a lot of these other mayors are a lot like you've got no third party agenda. You have served, you're living in the community, you're serving the community, you have a career that you've retired from or that supports you financially. So there's no alternative agenda, if you will.
Well, and I think one of the things that I've discovered, and so when you talk to someone in the private sector, like I worked for developers and contractors, so when you talk to them, you talk about politics, they immediately have no interest, and they become crazy. Like I was in the city council. And then you would talk to government officials. They've never actually had an experience of running a business, making a payroll, or understanding about regulations and how and so the two sides don't talk, and they don't actually overlap. To talk about a person that has done both, has worked in the private sector and also an elected official, there's not a lot of overlap. And so I'm trying to bridge that overlap. And I'm trying to bring, when we're talking to our legislators, I'm like, hey, when I was working as a structural engineer, these are the issues I developed. And when I was working in the private sector, I would say, hey, I'm on the city council. It's not as easy as it looks to be an elected official. And so I'm trying to get the two of them to talk to each other and understand each other. And so that's another thing that's exciting for me.
Dale, I was going to ask you too, in closing, how your experience as an engineer has helped you as a mayor.
Well, so that's a great question. So, I mean, part of it is understanding the complexity of, we were in the business of building things, right?
Yeah.
And so we're putting up buildings, and the hurdles that were thrown in front of us by regulation. And the regulation was typically for a reason,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Reacting. But sometimes it got to the point where if you'd never actually put working boots on and gone to a construction site and looked at this issue, if you're an elected official, you have no idea.
Yeah.
And it's like, please come to me on a construction site
Yeah.
with me.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
like the other side of it is I tell legislators all the time, please do a ride along. Come,
Yeah.
Brier Cop, come
Yeah.
ride along with me. And they're resistant to, because it's almost like they want to stay away. And it's almost like politicians are typically really good at, we have to do something, but then they don't review after the fact, did what we do work? Whereas in the private sector, if you did something that didn't work, your client was gone.
Yeah.
So you were
Yeah.
very in tune with
Yeah.
looking at the back side and saying, what do we do right? What do we do wrong?
Yep.
And in political, sometimes it's like about, let's just do something and then move forward and not go back and think about that.
Yeah. I love that. Great episode today.
Yeah, so I just have to say, so Zach, known him for
I don't know how long we've known each other at this point.
6 or 7 years.
Okay.
And so I've referred clients to Zach, and I've talked to his clients, and he is a professional. He's great at this business. He knows people. He's a people person. He knows the market. He knows how to market. Everybody I talked to that's used him as a realtor has nothing but glowing things.
Yeah.
So congratulations.
Wow, Dale.
So, and if you're hooked up with this guy,
I'm
you
hooked
must
up
be
with
okay.
him.
You
I've
okay?
referred him a lot of business, and
Okay,
we've
you
done
must be
business
okay too,
together.
then.
Yeah, I might be okay. But here's what I do know: sitting at a table with both of you guys.
I wasn't expecting this.
No,
Dale.
neither
You're
was
making
I.
me
It's the
blush.
truth.
It's actually you can't make me blush,
Yes.
but if I could blush,
Here's what I think, though. I think there's some politics in your future.
there we
I
go.
can see
I
you
think
being a
so.
mayor of a city. Yeah, you care a lot about people, and you get really passionate about things. And I could see you making a change in a community. I could. And you and
appreciate
your
that.
background in
I
real
think
estate
you're
would be
right.
great for a community.
I think, and I can hook you guys up with people that have real estate and private sector.
Yeah.
That'd be great people that be guests of yours.
yeah. Well, we'd love to meet some of the other mayor
So I got
friends
one
of
last
yours.
question.
You got a question for us
Yeah, I
on
got a
our
question.
podcast? Okay, let's do it.
So next time I come here, this is going to be called Hello Brier.
Sure.
Okay.
We can do Hello, Brier.
It's been great. I really appreciate, we politicians, we like to talk.
Yeah.
And out talking Zach is hard.
It is, but you just did.
I just did it.
I think the name of this podcast today is going to be called Hello, Brier.
There we go.
Yeah. Well, we always end with goodbye Seattle, so maybe we can end with goodbye Brier. Do we want to do that on 3? Goodbye,
Goodbye,
Brier.
Thank you.